No, don't backtrack now. Not Rex Ryan, Big Rexy, Sexy Rexy. That's what they call you in the streets, ain't it? Ain't it? He's backtracking on Shedeur Sanders after telling Shedeur Sanders to shut up and dribble.
Or a lot of fans that he wooed and wowed, through preseason. A lot of people rooting for him, and nobody has seen him play yet. Right now, it is Dillon Gabriel's turn. I don't care if it's Dillon Gabriel backing up Shedeur, Shedor's backing up Dillon Gabriel. Whenever your opportunity comes, you better be ready.
Rex Ryan thought he could get away with it. He went on national TV, looked straight into the camera, and called out Shedeur Sanders, painting him as arrogant, undisciplined, and not ready to lead an NFL team. In front of millions, he basically told the kid to shut up and sit down, a future first-round pick, reduced to a soundbite. But now, just weeks later, Rex is changing his tune. Suddenly, Shedeur is talented, ready, and should be out there. Wait, what? NFL insiders are calling it a full-on flip-flop. Fans are calling BS. And the receipts? They're everywhere. Because while the media tried to twist the narrative, the truth is finally starting to surface, and it does not make the league look good. See, while folks like Rex Ryan were demanding answers, Shedeur was quietly putting in work, grinding behind the scenes, and being groomed for something much bigger than the media ever understood.
I was saying something about Shedeur Sanders. And to me, I just know this kid has so much ability that I want to see him out there like anybody else. Yeah. And why the hell he's not out there?
It makes no sense.
It makes absolutely no sense to me.
The fact that he's not bumped up to backup, something's off. Something's wrong.
Cleveland messed this quarterback room up on draft day, in my opinion. This quarterback room is, I don't want to say dysfunctional, but it is not the way the normal quarterback room I'm used to seeing in the National Football League locker room.
The quarterback room is crazy because there's a name y'all left out of there.
But instead of covering that, they fed the flames just for clicks. And the worst part? This isn't just about one analyst beefing with a college star. It's about the Browns' broken quarterback system, the double standards haunting young athletes, and a growing list of media voices who are scrambling to backtrack after getting exposed. So what really happened behind Rex Ryan's outburst? Why is Shedeur Sanders still not starting? And is this part of a bigger plan? Or just another example of the league failing its future stars? Because after watching this all unfold, you might start to wonder, were they ever telling the truth in the first place? Let's break it all down. Let's rewind to the moment this entire controversy was set in motion. NFL Countdown, national television, millions watching. Rex Ryan took a seat at the analyst desk, and instead of breaking down game plans or matchups, he went straight for a third-string rookie QB, Shedeur Sanders. The way he delivered his take said it all. Arms crossed, eyes rolling, full of that classic, old-school football guy energy. And the message was clear. This kid talks too much. Look at him, Rex said, with the smugness turned up to 10.
This kid talks. He runs his mouth like I could be a starting quarterback with his arms crossed like this. Get your ass in the front row. I was saying something about Shedeur Sanders. And to me, I just know this kid has so much ability that I want to see him out there.
He runs his mouth like he's already a starting quarterback. Then he doubled down. Get your ass in the front row, he snarled, mocking Shedeur's posture on the sidelines. Study, learn, do what you're supposed to do. No nuance, no analysis, just a public gut punch to a young player who hadn't even touched the field yet. It wasn't just criticism, it was personal, delivered with condescension, designed to embarrass. The kind of comment that usually gets ignored in a highlight-heavy football show, except this time it didn't. Clips went viral within hours. Not just because Rex Ryan made a bold take, he always does that, but because of how targeted it was and who it was targeting. A young black quarterback. From a historically black college, the son of Deion Sanders, a quarterback people either love or love to hate. And that's when fans started asking, why Shedeur? Why now? And why this tone? The comments took off across social media. First, fans pulled up the sideline footage Rex referenced, and guess what? Shedeur was sitting in the front row, literally doing exactly what Rex told him to do. Then, NFL viewers started asking the obvious. What did Shedeur actually say that was so offensive? Where was this mouth-running Rex claimed he saw? The answer? There was nothing. There were no interviews, no locker room clips, no shouting matches, no viral TikTok moments that showed a cocky, out-of-control quarterback. Literally nothing substantiated Rex's emotional outburst. It looked like a hit piece, a stone-cold character smear. Even more bizarre, Shedeur hadn't played a single NFL snap. He wasn't even suiting up. And still, on a show made to talk about NFL games, Rex Ryan used valuable airtime to publicly clown a rookie, sitting on the bench. And people noticed. It didn't help that Shedeur stayed quiet. He didn't respond, didn't throw shade back. Instead, he just kept showing up, helmet on, head down. And somehow, just by existing, he became a headline. Now, here's where things go from bad to worse for Rex. Cleveland insiders, the ones who actually cover the team day to day, had never reported anything remotely negative about Shedeur's behavior, attitude, or performance. In fact, they had leaked QB updates before, especially about Dillon Gabriel. But not a single problem or concern about Shedeur ever made its way into the reports, which forced fans to ask, where did Rex Ryan even hear this info? The uncomfortable answer? He probably didn't. The comment wasn't based on reporting or evidence, but on feeling, gut, perception. And that's exactly where the backlash came from. Because when influential voices attack players without facts, especially young black quarterbacks, it strikes deeper than just football talk. It plays into stereotypes. It feeds into old narratives that have kept mobile, versatile, and confident players fighting harder for credibility than their peers. And in this case, it was hard not to see the bias creeping through. Because again, there was no footage showing Shedeur acting disrespectfully, no stories detailing a locker room meltdown or sideline ego trip, just a young quarterback learning the system, sitting quietly, working behind the scenes. But to someone like Rex Ryan, that was too much. Too much confidence, too much swagger, too much spotlight for someone he didn't believe had earned it. And just like that, Shedeur became the topic of conversation on the very Sunday where NFL fans should have been watching games, not gossip. But here's the twist. Not even a full week later, Rex Ryan completely changed his story. I don't understand why Shedeur isn't out there, he said on the very same show. This kid is talented. He should be getting his shot. Wait, what? How do you go from mocking a rookie quarterback to sounding shocked he's not playing? What made Rex pull a sharp U-turn one that directly contradicts everything he said just days before? Turns out, it wasn't just about what Rex said. It was about what the rest of the league started realizing. And that's where things started to fall apart. Rex Ryan didn't expect to get caught. He thought this would be just another throwaway hot take, bash a player, crack a few jokes, move on before the commercial break. But this time, the internet had receipts. By the time the Monday morning shows rolled around, fans were already flooding the comment sections. Where's the proof? Why is Shedeur the punching bag? You told him to shut up, now you're pretending to support him? And just like that, the narrative started to flip not on Shedeur, but on Rex. Because people went back and pulled up that original segment, watched the sneer on his face, listened to the tone, replayed the moment again and again, and realized this wasn't just football talk, this was a hit job dressed as tough love. And now, faced with a growing wall of pushback, Rex Ryan started doing what every exposed media figure does: backpedal. Hard. In his next appearance on ESPN, he tried to clean it up. Look, I was just saying Shedeur Sanders is really talented. I want to see him succeed. I want him out there. Suddenly, Rex wasn't mocking Shedeur for crossing his arms, he was praising his ability. Suddenly, it wasn't about attitude, it was about opportunity. Suddenly, he claimed he had always believed in the kid's potential. But here's the thing, we all heard what he said the first time. You don't get to walk back a full-on character takedown with a half-hearted compliment. And fans weren't buying it at all. Social feeds lit up again, not with praise, but with side-by-side video comparisons. The old Rex versus the new Rex, the shut up and sit in the front row, Rex versus the I support Shedeur Sanders Rex. And the conclusion was clear. He got caught in the lie, but that raised an even bigger question. Why walk it back at all? Why not double down like we've seen so many analysts do before? Because something had changed behind the scenes, something Rex couldn't ignore. Within days of his negative comments, NFL insiders like Ian Rappaport came out publicly and shared a completely different story. They said Shedeur had been practicing hard, doing extra work off the field, impressing behind closed doors, following a developmental plan crafted specifically with patience in mind. He wasn't lazy, he wasn't cocky, He wasn't even complaining. He was doing what pros do, staying ready and waiting for his name to be called. Nothing Rex said was backed by reporting. But everything we were learning from actual insiders told a very different story. So now, Rex had two choices. Look like the guy who bashed a young player for no reason, or spin it into some twisted version of mentorship. He picked the second option, let's be real, because the first one would have torched his credibility. But fans weren't letting up. Because here's the irony. For 4 straight Sundays with a full slate of NFL action unfolding, shows like ESPN's Countdown kept circling back to Shedeur Sanders. A third-string QB who hadn't played a down somehow became a weekly main topic. Why? Because he's polarizing, he draws clicks, and anytime Rex or someone else drops his name, the internet lights up with engagement. The media is using Shedeur as content, not as a player. So Rex backpedaled just enough to keep the story going, just enough to protect his own image, but never enough to admit the real truth, that he was wrong. And he's not the only one. Because this isn't just a Rex Ryan issue. It's part of a bigger problem, one hiding inside Cleveland's quarterback room. A problem with deeper roots, flawed logic, and a history of failing young talent. And that's exactly where we're headed next. So let's talk about the Browns, because this is where things start getting really confusing. Right now, Shedeur Sanders is sitting at 3rd on the depth chart. Not 2nd, not battling for starts, 3rd. And according to NFL insider Ian Rappaport, that's actually intentional. In a report that dropped not long after Rex Ryan started trending, Rappaport said the Browns have a plan, a carefully crafted roadmap for Shedeur's development, one designed to protect him, not bury him. Here's what the team claims. They see Shedeur as a long-term asset. They know he can play. They believe in his ceiling. But they don't want to throw him in too early, especially not mid-game when the entire game plan was written for somebody else. Because, let's be honest, if Shedeur got tossed into the 4th quarter of a sloppy blowout under a scheme designed for Flacco or Dillon Gabriel, that's a setup for failure. So, instead, their idea is to let him study, prepare, wait for a week when the game plan is tailored to him. Sounds reasonable on paper, right? But here's where things fall apart. If this whole development plan thing is really locked in and well thought out, why does it feel like no one in the organization is actually executing it? Let's start at the top. Head coach Kevin Stefanski. This man is supposed to be the one overseeing Shedeur's growth, but right now it looks like he's barely keeping his own offense together, let alone managing a rookie QB's career. The Browns have been bottom 5 in nearly every major offensive stat this season, including total yards, scoring, and 3rd down conversions. Their game plans are constantly criticized. Quarterbacks look lost. Play calls seem disconnected from reality. So when fans hear the phrase, long-term quarterback development plan, they don't hear hope. They hear excuses. Because truthfully, what has Stefanski developed? Where's the evidence that this staff is capable of elevating young quarterbacks? You can't call it a plan if it's coming from a coach who's burned through QBs like a matchbook and still can't get the offense going. Now, let's talk about the pecking order. Because right now, Dillon Gabriel, a rookie who wasn't even a top-tier draft pick, is the Browns' primary backup option. He's played. He's been active. He's been handed the keys. Meanwhile, Shedeur, who outshined plenty of young QBs during the preseason, who came into the league with far more national coverage, is sitting behind both him and Joe Flacco, a 8-year-old pocket passer with one foot in retirement. Does that sound like a strategic development plan? Or does it sound like confusion disguised as caution? And here's the kicker. No leaks, no insider info, no video footage supports the idea that Shedeur isn't ready. Everything we've seen says the opposite. He's been in the front row at meetings. He's working out at unknown locations. He's not out partying or posting distractions. He's not running to the media with complaints. Shedeur Sanders is doing everything right. And the team's response is to bury him deeper in the roster? Now, sure, maybe there is a plan. Maybe Stefanski really believes in taking it slow. Maybe he's protecting Shedeur from a disjointed offense with no identity. But from the outside looking in, it just doesn't track. Because at some point, you have to stop calling it development and start calling it what it looks like: hesitation. Maybe even fear. Fear of putting the kid in and exposing bigger flaws in the coaching. Fear of losing control of the narrative. Or fear that if Shedeur succeeds too quickly, all the people who doubted him, like Rex Ryan, are going to look even worse. But here's the thing, you can only hold back talent for so long. And based on what we're seeing behind the scenes, Shedeur's never been the problem. The system around him has, with all the noise surrounding the Browns quarterback room, one voice has been noticeably silent. Shedeur Sanders. No interviews slamming the coaching staff, no cryptic tweets, no drama-filled Instagram stories, just silence and work. While people like Rex Ryan were throwing public jabs and segments were built around what's wrong with Shedeur, the kid was doing what most rookies don't get credit for, showing up, clocking in, and grinding in the shadows. According to league insiders, including Ian Rappaport, the Browns coaching staff has quietly praised Shedeur behind the scenes. They've highlighted how hard he's working, the late nights, the extra film study, the way he keeps pace with veterans and absorbs the playbook. Off the record, coaches love him. On the record, nobody's talking because positive stories don't trend like false controversies do. What's crazy is this: in every moment where Shedeur would have had the right to clap back, to push for more reps, to break the silence and make it about him, he didn't. He never fired back at Rex Ryan, never questioned the team, never posted a single thing to suggest he was frustrated or bitter. Even when photos and videos showed him literally doing the things he was accused of not doing, he didn't speak out because he didn't need to. The footage showed him sitting in the front during team meetings, fully engaged on the sidelines, locked in during practices. And still, media figures decided to invent a narrative not because it was true, but because it was easy. Easy to paint him as cocky. Easy to repeat tired old tropes about confident young black quarterbacks. Easy to stir controversy around a name as famous as Sanders. But they ignored what mattered. They didn't cover the days he spent training away from the cameras. They didn't post about his extra workouts at small college facilities. Didn't ask why nobody in the Browns locker room, not a single player, has ever said a bad word about him. Because none of that fits the narrative. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The NFL media machine feeds on drama more than performance. If a backup wide receiver makes a flashy quote, they'll build a segment. But if a rookie QB conducts himself like a true professional, stays quiet, and works hard, they bury it. And yet, those are the players who usually go the farthest. That's part of what makes this Shedeur storyline feel bigger than football, because he's already had every chance to respond emotionally, and he hasn't. He could have dragged the Browns, blamed coaches, called out favoritism. Instead, Shedeur trusted the work. And that's what should scare the people doubting him the most. Because when this guy finally does get his moment, and make no mistake, that moment is coming, nobody will be able to say it was handed to him. There won't be any hot takes to justify keeping him on the bench. No attitude problem, excuses left to hide behind. Just a cold reality. They judged him before he ever took the field. And when the tape finally drops and he gets a full game plan designed for him, not borrowed from a veteran or patched together for a pocket passer, a lot of people are going to have to backtrack, just like Rex did. Shedeur's approach has been the exact opposite of the cliché athlete stereotype. No drama, no spotlight seeking, no shortcuts. Just accountability, preparation, and humility, all while under one of the hottest microscopes in the NFL right now. And the fact that he's doing this without clapping back? That's not weakness, that's control. And it sets the stage for something every viewer loves to see unfold in real time. A quiet underdog, who was never really an underdog at all, proving every doubter wrong. So far, we've heard all the excuses. Shedeur's just not ready. The team has a long-term plan. He needs time to learn the system. Okay, fair. But here's a question nobody in the media is actually answering. If this so-called quarterback development plan is so smart, why does it come from Kevin Stefanski? Let's stop pretending the Browns are some stable QB-friendly franchise. They're not. In fact, they've had one of the worst quarterback development pipelines in the entire NFL over the last decade. And at the heart of it? Kevin Stefanski. This is the same coach who's fumbled promising players, blown leads, mismanaged timeouts, and called some of the most conservative, head-scratching offenses in the league. And we're supposed to believe he's the mastermind behind this grand plan for Shedeur Sanders? You've got to be kidding me. Let's look at the receipts. The Browns are averaging 14.6 points per game through 5 weeks. That's bottom 5 in the league. They rank 31st in red zone efficiency. On third down, one of the most important downs in football, they're converting just 34% of the time, also near league worst. And then there's the film, a playbook that feels glued together with duct tape and hope. This isn't a quarterback-friendly system. It's a graveyard for young talent. So what exactly are we developing Shedeur into? A placeholder? Another project to get thrown into a broken offense mid-season only to take the blame when the system fails again? Because, let's be real, this offense does not elevate quarterbacks. It exposes them. Whether it's Baker Mayfield's collapse or the disaster surrounding Deshaun Watson's return, Kevin Stefanski's system has constantly turned promising QBs into question marks. And the fans know it. That's why even some of the most hardcore Browns fans have started connecting the dots. It isn't just Shedeur stuck behind Dillon Gabriel, it's countless players getting cycled through a coaching staff that seems more obsessed with control than creativity. And let's not forget, this is the same coach who called 3 timeouts in one half and handed the Vikings a comeback win just 2 weeks ago. If he can't manage a clock, why are we trusting him with the development of one of the most hyped rookie QBs in America? Even Dillon Gabriel, who's actually seen the field, looks poorly managed. The play calling has been painfully conservative. Designed rollouts with no passing options. Predictable screens. Run, pass sequences that scream, "We're hoping something sticks." Gabriel's a talented guy and nothing against him, but you can tell he wasn't set up to unlock the full playbook, especially not in his debut. And that's what makes the Shedeur situation feel even worse, because he hasn't even gotten that chance. Let's stop tiptoeing around it. The real problem isn't Shedeur Sanders. It's Kevin Stefanski. It's the staff. It's the inconsistency. It's the stale playbook. It's the organizational fear of letting a rookie take over and expose the flaws they don't want the world to see. Because if Shedeur goes in and the offense suddenly starts clicking, what would that say about the last 3 years of this coaching regime? What would that say about the decisions to keep starting average journeymen or overhyped veterans? It would blow the whole foundation apart. And that's likely why the leash is so tight, why the flashes of brilliance in preseason get ignored, why the playbook remains under lock and key. It's not just about readiness, it's about control. Kevin Stefanski is trying to survive the season. His seat is getting hotter by the week, and giving a young quarterback the freedom to change the public narrative, that's a risk he might not be willing to take. The problem is, he's running out of excuses. And pretty soon, Shedeur Sanders may be the only one left who hasn't failed yet, which makes him the most dangerous player on that roster. Let's talk about Dillon Gabriel. On paper, he's the one who won the opportunity. He got to step onto the field, take control of the huddle, and get a glimpse of life as an NFL starter, something Shedeur Sanders hasn't experienced yet. But here's the problem. Gabriel was set up to fail too. His debut was plagued by ultra-conservative play calling, short throws, predictable runs, and almost zero chances to stretch the field. The Browns didn't design the game around his strengths. They taped together a basic game plan and just told him to manage it. That's not putting a quarterback in a position to shine. That's damage control. And if Dillon Gabriel, a 6-year college football veteran, isn't even being supported properly, how can anyone expect Shedeur to thrive in this system? Even Gabriel's flashes of potential were overshadowed by a coaching staff too, scared to let him take risks, too paranoid to let a rookie define the team's identity. So the question isn't just why Shedeur isn't playing. It's whether any young quarterback can succeed in this system. Because right now, it looks like Shedeur's being protected from something. And it's not the defense, it's the coaching. With everything we've covered, media takedowns, questionable coaching, a confused QB room, one question still hangs in the air. Why is Shedeur Sanders always the target? He's not playing, he's not speaking, he's not even causing drama behind the scenes. And yet, the media can't stop bringing him up, dissecting his silence, criticizing his posture, dragging his name into headlines that have nothing to do with him. It's almost like they need him in the spotlight, even if they have to fabricate the reason. Why? Because Shedeur moves the algorithm. He carries the Deion Sanders legacy. He brings clicks, views, and engagement. It's not about football, it's about attention. And he refuses to play the villain. No rants, no tweets, no sound bites, just quiet, consistent work behind the scenes. That silence? It's frustrating the people who profit off outrage. Shedeur isn't melting down, he's staying patient, and that patience is dangerous to a system built on chaos. The truth? He doesn't fit their narrative, and so they keep trying to twist him into one. But the more they do, the more obvious it becomes. They're afraid of what happens when he finally gets his shot.